Let's bring in our political contributor, Chris Uhlmann. Chris, the Foreign Minister this week said that there's been a lot of coordination around this issue internationally. You can see that. I guess we didn't have to be told that by the Foreign Minister. It's pretty clear.
Yeah, and it was pretty clear last week when we spoke that the Albanese government was now on a pathway to recognising the state of Palestine. And I think that everything that we've seen there points in that direction, including that phone call with the French, because obviously the French have been out among the first talking about doing such a thing. And can I say too that more and more of the evidence for doing something like that is coming out of what's happening in Israel. We've now seen 600 former security officials write to the President of the United States asking him to find a way to end this war. And another video which included a former Prime Minister and 19 other officials with 1,000 years of experience in this area saying that Israel's losing this war. And why is it losing this war? It's not losing on the ground in Gaza, it's losing at the court of public opinion around the world.
And the Prime Minister to head to the United Nations next month. This issue is going to be front and centre. We know that. He's spoken to the UN Secretary-General this week, the French leader, among many others. This is going to be top of the agenda when he gets to New York.
And of course, it's the weight of nations that we'll see there, where the vast majority of them will fall in behind this proposition, and Israel will be seen to be more and more isolated with the United States. And who knows by then where the United States might even stand on some of this. It certainly won't go for recognising the state of Palestine. That is sort of practically impossible in terms of, like, you can do it as a notional thing, but practically that's impossible because there's no real government there. However, it's the state of Israel that now has to confront what the rest of the world is doing and how isolated it wants to be.
On the issue of the roundtable, 2 weeks yesterday, it's going to be convened, as Trudy was articulating it. It's very much a period of expectation management from the Treasurer.
It seems to be something of a movable feast. Begins with productivity, as Trudy told us, and then goes on to tax. I think the Treasurer may have got out over the handlebars there. It reminds me of the time, you will recall this, when Scott Morrison was floating the idea of changing the GST, thought he had the Prime Minister on side, turned up to the press club, gave a speech which ran 10 minutes over time and said nothing because the Prime Minister had pulled the rug out from under him. I don't think that's happened, but I think that the Prime Minister has reined in expectations on what this can achieve, particularly since I think this time they're getting some real pushback from the business community. Last time they had a summit, the business community was mugged by reality. I couldn't believe how naive they were in signing up for a lot of things there. They have learned from that experience. They're forming a united front and pushing back a bit this time.
Once bitten, twice shy. And the other thing we should talk about, I'm very keen to get the preview from you, is ahead of your War Cabinet program early next week. What can we expect?
Well, we're looking at a group of great minds gathering in a room, some of them former ministers like the Labor Defence Minister Joel Fitzgibbon or Alexander Downer, our longest serving foreign minister, but also Mike Pizzullo ran Home Affairs. But others among them too, Dr Alexander Malloy, who is an expert on drone warfare, Catherine Manstead, who knows all about cyber, Jennifer Parker, who knows what it's like to be a sailor and also to work in the maritime domain, and others among them. We're going to confront the most consequential question of our age. It is, what is the level of threat that we're seeing at the moment? What do we mean by strategic competition? And if there is to be a fight, are we ready for war?
Yes, well, it's going to be fascinating to hear all of that. And the overlay, I guess, of all of that is the presence in the White House of someone who's just a bit more unpredictable than presidents in years gone by as well, our big security guarantor.
Mercurial is the one word that you use about Donald Trump. And even when you look at the sanctions that he's imposed on China and the push and pull over things like TikTok, he takes one step in the direction of really being hard on China and then takes a step back. So it's now impossible to actually work out what the United States itself might do if China invaded Taiwan. You would expect there would be a reaction from the White House, but what that reaction would be, who can say? And then Australia has to work out what it does in a conflict like that. But one thing's for certain is you couldn't sit it out, because what it will mean is the entire face of our region would change, and we are host to quite a lot of US troops now. So if there is a threat to China, then China would see Australia's mainland as being a threat.
Chris, thank you very much. Appreciate it.